I feel pretty good. I'm gonna ask people for my advice, for your advice, because I'm talking to myself while doing a video and acting or playing myself. Actually, this is myself in a video. If I ever got a credit for my videos, for videos themselves on an IMDb page or something like that for videos, I'd be credited as myself for TV. If it's on a good TV show. For my work, that's good. So it'd have to be a narrative work unless I was on a talk show as someone who's a filmmaker, screenwriter, musician, stuff like that. Or my own videos I already filmed that I chose to be credited as on something or whatever. Anyway, the thing in this video is to hi, somebody's watching. The thing in this video is to see, how am I going to be there for my kids when she doesn't want to be together. I think she doesn't want to be together, and they're in Texas. So I can't live in Texas. I can't live there. I've it's like her father and mother's like favorite place that to them it's like, sometimes I can go out there with Danica and the kids, or did before, a couple of years ago, and we were able to be together and not worry about any of those other problems. And it felt happy. We were together. It was almost like home. It was like home, but it was, it was ecstatic, a little bit of an ecstatic feeling, finally getting to be with my wife and kids again. So I was able to overlook the fact that I couldn't really live there. I wouldn't want to live there, and they're not going to continue living there. So I want them to come back to Roanoke or LA so we can work in movies, probably Roanoke. So I want them to like come home, and then she can live in some other house or something. I don't know, unless she wants to live here, but she hasn't been that interested in me in however long, whatever. And so I don't know what she's gonna do, but I want her here. I want the kids here, and she's gonna live here. So I don't know how to be there for all three kids when she's funny about it, or acted a little bit like holding a grudge, or I don't know what. I don't know. So I'm not really sure exactly what she is doing. So I was gonna ask everyone, how do I be there for my children when she started acting funny? Because her parents are both divorced and they were funny to one another. Instead of staying married before they remarried these other people, which is, in God's eyes, that's adultery. When you get remarried, that's how it is, unless there are some instances when people get a divorce when it's okay, and God says it's okay for them to get a divorce. But I don't know. I'd have to look into. You can read the Bible, what it says about divorce. You go to Google, type in, what does the Bible say about divorce? The Bible, divorce, and go to some of the trusted Bible sources that you have faith in, believe in God and Jesus, and know it's good. Say, okay, this is a good one that's kind to others. It's good. It has no evil, no bad, no sin, for the ideas you're getting from God and Jesus about what God wants you to do. He wants people to stay together almost every time in a marriage. But there are some instances, because of our inherent sin on earth, when divorce is okay. and she did cheat on me. So I've been thinking about, is it okay or not, whether or not I got a divorce. But I'm divorced. I got a divorce in 2000, like 10 years ago, 2011. It was an awful time. Her parents got really... Hi. Hi. Danica. So she's, you know, I don't know. It's I don't know what to say. Um, Other than ask questions, you know, from people who want to respond. How do I be there for my kids, other than to make them come back, make her come back to in a way that's kind and godly and good, come back to Roanoke so I can be there for my own kids, and I can, you know, work on houses or real estate or something to pay my bills. And if it's too much for me to do, I can go to LA and bring the kids to LA, like in the winter, or sometimes to work there and stay in Roanoke. And how do you be there for your kids when she took them to some place that's not at home for you, you know, without making a big argument or a little argument in court? I don't want to bring her to court. I couldn't hurt her. I've never hurt her. I've never hurt her, other than her parents maybe convinced her that I hurt her or something, because it's not their fault. She went to them for emotional support when she thought something was wrong with our marriage, and they already got a divorce and thought divorce was okay. So it's like they made us think that was something we could do. But my parents don't get divorced. My parents raised us to believe if you really get married, you stay married to that person forever. And they were not aware that, like with my sister, my older sister, if she's watching this, she had this bad husband who really physically hurt her one time. He was a jerk. He was crazy. He was insane. And he beat her up one time. And, you know, she couldn't stay with him anymore. And it says in the Bible that's okay when there's physical abuse, especially, or some particular reasons, but it's very rare when divorce is allowed. But my sister got to get a divorce, and that was okay. And she married a new husband who God wants her to be with. And that's almost, I mean, that's how it is with them. But God says, stay together. Really got to work hard at it and really stay together. But in an instance like that, that guy was abusive and bad physically. He was, you know, there are reasons like that. Sexual immorality, and she did cheat on me one time. But I was willing to forgive her. We tried to make it work for 2 years after that. We had been together for 8 years. We didn't cheat on each other at all. We were in trust and love. She was a really good mother, like God wants a wife to be. She was like that when she raised her kids. She covered up her body. She was good. And I had a midlife crisis. Because I went out to California to be a famous director, film director, artist, stuff like that. And I had felt like I went through a lot of insecurity growing up. I was afraid to take my shirt off around other people from when I was age 10 to I finally worked out so hard when I was older, like much older, and then I was confident with my shirt off, but I had to visually think about it and be aware of like how it looked, and then I was able to kind of shape it into that through strength training, but never through all those years of being a teenager, high school, early college, was I confident enough to take my shirt off? And that was just my body. And I was also, and then I was insecure about my face. So there's something I wanted to do to finally be like, popular and likable, like the other kids I think were had a little more of. But I was also really popular and cool in high school by my senior year with the other kids outside of school. Like outside of school, I was like cool. And then I'd walk through the halls and stuff, and I'd think about the clothes I'd wear. So I was like, thought I was cool looking or something, and I was like, okay. But in the classroom, I was like, and so but since from an early age, I wanted to be like a famous person for, well, my work, like something that's good, God's work. My work in film, that was always good. I always had a good moral purpose. And God's work on earth, besides the film, like raising my children, that had to be really good. And it's still really good. I try to do that from afar, but I was supposed to go there, and I was gonna go there, and it started making me have physical symptoms. Physical symptoms. I was barely able to breathe one time. I think it was because maybe I was like so worried. I started eating way too much food before the plane flight, like as a way to like, I thought I'll just cover up my body and eat food and go on the plane flight, and it made it difficult to breathe. But it wasn't that. It was all shit, man. Yeah, blame it on him. And cause shit. And so the other reason was because I was hiding back in my bedroom, laying in bed all day, thinking I'm gonna get on a plane and go to Texas one more time for the eighth time there, with how this situation is. And so I laid back in the bed. It was like I had all these blankets on me, and I had been eating food, and I just laid in there, and I couldn't make the plane flight. But now I made no, I made it all those other times. I have to go. I'm gonna go again. That was the only time it happened. That one time I ate a bunch of food, and it wasn't because of any stupid other reasons. But it only happened to me one time. There are many other plane flights. Anyway, so I'm probably gonna go there again, and it's like. Well, hi Al, are you watching this? Is Al watching this? Hi Al, what are you thinking? Alchemy. Alchemy. Anyone who has a goal that makes them feel happy to work at, to see the results and do God's work while they're working at it. What do you think of that, Al? Let go of the goal. Let go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Al. Let go. Because Al is the best. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Al. He's a good friend, but he's a friend. He's the best friend I ever had. He's the best friend I ever had, but he's a friend. He's not my wife. He's not, I don't know if Danica's my wife. I don't know if she's my wife or not. You know, I would have, say like God wanted me to marry someone who's black. Back then, I didn't know the difference. She happens to not be black, you know. When I married her, you know, she happens to be very white. I don't know why, but she happens to be very white. We looked up her DNA, you know, and she happens to be very white, way more white than white people in the South. But white people in the South have a little bit of black DNA. They have a little bit of black DNA. Just all those, since the however long with those black people constantly there, it had an effect on their DNA where they have at least 0.3%, I think, or 0.1%, and it's up to 6%, and they look white, and they might have 6% black. Some of them, when you look up, my my dad, way back before his family was in Ireland, Danica showed me the DNA, and his family was from the South. They were like rednecks or whatever, or Europeans in the United States a long time ago. From my dad's side, it was hard to believe because he's from Ireland and New York, and they're very the new my grandparents were from New York, so. Um, I don't care. I don't care about race that much one way or another. But I think I'm not supposed to marry somebody who's black if I have to get remarried. I don't know why. Um, I just I don't know. I don't know why. Because I I'd like to be with Danica. I'd like to be with Danica, and you know, if she, I don't know, I think she doesn't want to be with me. So actually, if she thinks that way about me, then I don't really want to be with her. So I don't really want to be with her if yo um because some things I learned from her family, like, I don't know, I think we're not that bad, but her family's pretty good. But I don't know if I learned it from her family or not. But after I was with her for a while, maybe that's my own sin or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know. I guess because I sinned more, but uh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But I'd like to be with a wife finally. I don't like being single. I don't like being single. Somebody who I'm attracted to, who God wants me to be with. And I've had to be alone for 10 years because I started a family with her. And we somehow got a divorce. And it's I don't like being single that much. It's okay. I've had to just do I have to keep looking out for my kids. I have to make sure my kids are okay. That's not something you can stop doing. That's not something you you know just you know you don't move on from your special loved ones and leave them, to I love them a lot, and I worry about them, and I think about them every day, and I write to them, and I try to be the best father I can. I've had this awful distance between us, and it's been really difficult to try to be a good father from here, and sometimes really worrisome, and I don't like sometimes worrisome, and it's been a lot of responsibility, and I, I don't know, I don't know why it has, but I know. So I mean, uh, Babe Ruth said that because he did know, but he didn't know, and that's why. See, it ain't over till it's over, he said, or some stupid thing like that. And I've never said it's over in the past 8 years or 10 years or something. When she moved on, started over, said it's over. Well, not really started her life over. I don't know if she said started over. I hope she didn't say that. But I didn't say any of those things. It was wrong. I tried my best. I had to work my best to at being a father. It's not, I don't know if that's work or not, but it's God's work. It's God's work. And I had to be a good father. And there's a lot of responsibility. It was a bunch of responsibility as a father. You know, you have to do that when you're a father, when the kids are still growing. You know, not as somebody who has grown kids who are much older, who has no fucking responsibility at all, like my dad. Like all he has is going out, besides his health. You know, he's got to look out for his health. He has work, but he has plenty of money that he doesn't even have to work anymore. But he doesn't quite get that, like, he doesn't quite understand that, you know, I have real responsibility for my children. He thinks maybe I can just, who gives a fuck, and go with other random people and keep making money and working at stuff the entire time. But I think he doesn't really say that, and he knows I love them and want to be with them and want them to be okay. But I think kind of like he acts like maybe it doesn't matter at all. You just marry somebody else or whatever. But he said stuff like that growing up here and there, and he doesn't mean it because, you know, he stayed with my mom. He stayed with my mom. So he's good. He's good. And for those reasons, he's good. He's good for those reasons, that how he was. And he wanted us to be that way. And some problems came up. Some problems showed up. But something about her family has tried to, you know, I don't know. They're okay. They're good. You know, they're good. Hi, Al. How are you doing, Al? How are you doing, Al? Is Al watching? How are you? I'll show you kindness. I don't know what else to say. Yep, don't forget to do that to your shirt and make it look fat. Scent of piss. What? Like people are so fear driven. They get a scent of piss and they think, "What are you trying to think? You think I'm trying to? You think I'm a minority? You think I'm a minority?" And then they try to act like, oh, they try to compensate for it too much and act like they're like really white, and so scent of white. Yeah, white's the best, pure white. Or oh shit. And you know the racial values that they think in their mind, and nothing sexual about it. And they're crazy, and they, you know, end up being like a mini Hitler. And then they do it as much as they can, and then the demons have them to torture and rape and make their skin all black with like shit that they throw on them, like they turn them into a Muslim because of being against all those Muslims and trying to destroy Muslims and shit like that, the evil demons and shit. And then the demons say he's a human the entire time. He's been a human, and they say, "I'm gonna kill you, wipe feces together on your body, do this to you for all eternity." I don't know. And then they don't. And then, and so when people sin and do bad stuff, that's the demons tricking them and the devil tricking them. Well, it's sin. It's inherent on earth. We all sin. We can't help it in our different ways. It might not be racism. Maybe that person's good. Whoever almost made an example of, who may be very kind and not do anything like that anyway. And um, I don't know what else to say about that other than the sin comes back to hurt everyone who sins. It hurts them right back, and it eventually causes all of our death. It eventually causes all of our death, our own sin, and the sin of others too. Sometimes the sin of others. So, what do I do? What do I do to be there for the kids when they're in Texas? You know, and I've had to go there 7 times. I've had to go there. I've had to go there 7 times, and it wasn't really. I don't know. I've had to go there 7 times, but it was, I don't know how much of a Jesus-like thing I'd have to do across the entire country. Maybe again, I had to do that 1 time before, across the entire country, out there, as beautiful and kind and godly and suffering in a willing to suffer in a Jesus-like way. But Jesus protected me, so it didn't have to be that bad. And I was as big a way as I was supposed to to make up for the sin I had already done with stuff like that. So I was kind and good, and I'm back to my normal self now. I'm a pretty good person, and it wasn't easy. And that was the first time I had to go to Texas. I didn't make it. I went home. I felt a little too scared to go into that environment when I had already been hospitalized across country for a week because of that, and because of lack of sleep, because of extraordinary lack of sleep, which I figured out how to be okay with now. I don't have any problems with sleeping as much at all. I don't at all, and I figured out how to do that. Just don't have tons of caffeine with this. Never mind. I don't want to say why. I don't want something awful happened to me in 2014, and I had to, it was all my own responsibility to look out for myself. No one was there for me that much. And besides my parents, who helped me to have a shelter, a place to live, and helped me to pay for my food, but everything else, I had to go out there because of that. I had to go out there and see hell. I had to see a waking nightmare of my worst fears imaginable, of things that don't happen on earth, that were brought up from hell. I had to see these horrors happening and go out there to work in it every day for 3 months. Every day for 3 months. It was like war, but it was just as I don't know what to say about it. It's from extraordinary lack of sleep. It was from lack of sleep, but I didn't go to war, and it was awful, the things I thought in my mind to try to change. Well, I don't even want to talk about it, because I mean, it was kind of bad. So I had to go out there and do it. So I did it again, and was very kind and Jesus-like, and made up for anything bad I may have done. And then everything was okay again. Everything was okay again, with either all of America, if I had any effect on it, or myself, or however big or small way it was. It's all okay again. I'm pretty sure I had an effect on, like, when I went to California, I tried to change the world to really good ideas, my own ideas, kindness to all others. um, I was one of the people going. I still am kind of that way, but it's just, I don't care about changing the world anymore. There's inherent sin on the earth, and they made me do the opposite of it. It was awful, nightmare of hell, of waking nightmare of horrors and hell, and these unimaginable things that I had to try to, like. And at first, Obama came to office when it was like I thought I'd be president by then, and it didn't happen. I was like a creative kind of liberal type, and I wanted to change the world. I went out to California, made a movie, and was out there doing famous stuff at one of the best film schools there was or is. It's a number 4 right now, but by one article. Hollywood Reporter votes it the number 6 film school. It had like Arnold Schwarzenegger was there when I was at the school. Steven Spielberg was there, walking around the campus, looking at the school, see if he'd put his son there. But he got his son to go to USC, I think. And so I would send mass emails out to everyone in the entertainment industry that I could possibly reach, all the agents, producers, managers, stuff like that. Maybe a few thousand emails of these ideas that I had to change the world. And it was kindness. And then they pulled I came back here, Virginia, Virginia, and they pulled the horrors of hell shit, made me like a big military brainwashed like champion for the shit that I never fucking believed in, and it was awful and bad, and it was Republican. It happened to be Republican, but then later I learned that Republicans are kind and good, and now I know, they're kind and good liberals. Of course, that was kind of like what I stood for before that, but maybe I just didn't know that I was already kind of Republican a little bit, and I don't even know. I don't care. I don't really care about politics that much. But now it's all back. Everything's back to normal. I feel okay again, and I don't really give a fuck about politics that much. I would like to, as long as America's safe and it's not evil, as long as it's kind. But growing up, that George Bush stuff, the stuff against those rock musicians, those heavy metal musicians and stuff, that they tried to like say their music is bad and stuff. I didn't. I liked glam rock. Like I liked all kinds of good music that I thought was cool that I wanted to do one day, and I didn't like that stuff that was against it that much. And I wasn't as into politics growing up, and so somehow they put like Obama of all people into office for those kinds of ideas. I don't know why, because I think he was just out for himself, but I don't know. But for some black people, he's a very good uh, role model because he's a black president who made it as president. So I don't know. I don't even know much about what the person is like at all, and um, Trump, I don't know what he's like. I don't know, but I think Trump's okay, but I don't know. And then now they've got Biden, and so I don't want to change politics. It's good to go out there. Maybe if you have to be at a big political level to stand up for good ideas that are really everything is good and kind, like the Bible says is good, not some ancient fucking 2008 good that Trump happened to say Obama was a good man one time. He's not good. Those are or may not be good or is good, or only God can judge if he's good or not. And hope. I don't know what he was referring to, or great. Um, I don't I don't know with that stuff. The Bible. I read the Bible and understand the Bible. That's reality as we know it. That's so people don't get misled and confused into being these mean, weird ways. No. But some non-believers are good, and they sin less than people who call themselves Christians. But most Christians have a way better chance of getting into heaven when they're Christian. And anyway, so But my family's another thing. It has nothing to do with politics that much that I can think of. Um, but I have family that have different, all kinds, well, different political beliefs. Some of them are Republican, some of them are, whatever they believe in. I thought I'd go out to LA and be some rock musician, but in Dan, um, well, I'm gonna go, I guess. Just thinking of something. So what should I do? To be there for my children, considering I don't really, uh, I don't really want to go to Texas again. I don't want to go to Texas again. But am I supposed to go to Texas and that's a way I can see my kids, like with them taken away from me? That's supposed to be okay. And I don't like that, and I want them to where I can see them at this house, my own house that I got that I worked at relentlessly to you know say like I bought some house for $5,000 or $8,000 back then. If that's all that I had, 5,000, 8,000 on a credit card that people can get a credit card. Uh, if they have a part-time job, they can get a credit card, get access to $8,000, and feel like I was like part living on, still like I was living on welfare or something because I had no help from my parents and had $8,000 and did the same work on this house that 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 I did to $8,000 house. I mean, it would look so cool, but I don't have that and I don't want that. And this house is different. Or you can build your own house. You can build your own house. You can buy a piece of land for $1,000, sometimes $800, and I don't know, but because I bought this house for 102,000 cash. I bought it in cash. I bought it $102,000. I bought this house. I'm sorry, but I had to work 14 years to get the money. It was in this other house. I owned this other house and this other another house and another part of another house. So I had worked for my parents for, well, 8 years or whatever, however long, and I was left with two houses, and so I somehow it was all up to me. I got away from my parents, and it was awful. And I had to get 30 or 40,000 on credit cards to fix up the house that I had left, and it had to pass all the inspections and stuff. And I had to work on it every day, 12 hours a day, until I thought it would take a couple weeks, like I would work with my dad when he had a crew, but it was me mostly doing all the work myself, and it took a year. It took a year of effort, and I fixed that one up, and this other one that he kind of like helped me work on that I barely did any work on. And but it's something about that house. I don't know. So this other house, and I got a bunch of money from the other house, but it wasn't that much. Maybe it was like, I don't know. And I barely had to do any work on it, but I didn't like going there. And I had to go there and work on other houses too. And for some reason, I ended up with that house. And it was a really good house. And my dad got the men to work really hard on it, a bunch on the house. And it was a pretty good house, and it sold for like 120,000. Nowadays, it would be like 180,000. The real estate has gone up, and but I don't know. No, no, no. So that was in 2016 or whatever, 14. But I don't know what it is now. It's maybe they didn't go up to 180,000, but something, it went up. It went up. I don't know. Well, I'm gonna go. Bye. 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 That sucked. All that, the past 20 something seconds of this felt awful. So, what do you do? How do I see my children when I have to go to Texas? I'm going to go. Bye.